Sukuna's rebirth and true power has made every single sorcerer crap their pants. This long-awaited ritual shifted the balance of the world in favor of evil, just like how once Satoru Gojo's birth shifted it for good. Chapter 216 confirms, even at only 15 fingers, Sukuna's full form is busted. And with Megumi's body, he not only has access to the most broken curse technique, which matches the potential of the 6 eyes as Gojo mentioned, but he also has gained a new level to his Riz.
Bro, if I was a girl, legs wide open.
We start in the Zenin clan's basement, in which the ritual bath begins as Sukuna sinks deeper and deeper into pure evil. And guess who's here too? Kenjaku! Urame questions if Kenjaku is even going to finish up the culling games, in which he confirms he must do so in order for mankind's merger with Tengen to proceed. However, the design of the culling game is to go on forever, making it pretty impossible to end. This was purposely done though, so he could create the binding vow. Kenjaku has to do the impossible to make the impossible happen. But right now, he's more interested in witnessing the rebirth of Sukuna, the king of curses. This bath is actually a Kodoku ritual that turns objects into cursed tools by submerging them into pure curse energy with the marination of various organisms for 10 months and 10 days. Kodoku is a real curse technique where insects and other small animals like lizards were used to create curse poison. They did this by gathering the animals into a small jar, sealing it shut, and then leaving them to slaughter each other until only one survives. The last creature standing would then be believed to host a curse, where in this case, Sukuna, who believes to be the only enlightened one, is the curse. However, to speed up the process, they have used an enhanced version of this, where instead of organisms, Urame is using cursed spirits. The bath is literally a mixture of their crushed up corpse. When the cursed spirits are killed, they become dust, but Urame, using her freezing technique, can pin the spirit down, freeze its core, and then separate it. These organisms are completely made up of pure hatred, malice, disgust, pretty much everything negative and evil. So similar to how other cursed spirits gain power when absorbing Sukuna's fingers, Sukuna becomes closer to his true form after this ritual. This bath is also a commemoration of Buddha's enlightenment, where a statue of him is bathed in water, referencing the saying, "Throughout the heavens and earth, I alone am the honored one," whom Sukuna is in chapter 30. However, unlike Buddha's version of enlightenment, where its roots are natured in good, Sukuna's definition of becoming pure is different. To him, the purest form is being closest to the core of curse energy, which funny enough is made up of negativity. This is much like the views of Jogo and Mahito, believing they are the superior life form to humans since they don't hide their malice or evil. In fact, in the Heian era, 1000 years ago, Sukuna started to cannibalize other humans as he saw himself above them, being the only one knowing true Jujutsu, as he displayed against Jogo using pure fire against a being made of fire, in a tragic irony to prove his superiority. And to rise back to his original sense of state, he has to purge anything that goes against this pureness, including the ounce of humanity left in Megumi's body. With that, Sukuna rises from his bath, and if you couldn't already tell, this is a reference to the film Apocalypse Now. For that cool Easter egg, you gotta smash the like button and hit that notification bell. But Sukuna finally completes his bath ritual, soaking up all that special hatred solution. Wait, no, there's something stuck inside Sukuna. Let's enhance real quick. There still seems to be a tiny sliver of goodness in there. Oh yeah, it's our boy Megumi, whose soul hasn't completely sunk. Bro basically is about to get evicted from his own body.
Where's my money?
Because Sukuna being in his body is still technically part of the culling games, and thus can use Megumi's Kogane in getting information about the other players. So without wasting time, he looks up the location for Megumi's sister, Tsumiki, who is still in the Sendai colony. Urame questions why she hasn't moved out yet, since the rule allowing players to do so had been introduced. Well, that's because Yoruzu, who is the curse user in Tsumiki's body, was a person originally from Azu. I don't know how to say this shit. Sorry guys. According to Kenjaku, being incarnated for the first time in 1000 years, it would have been a natural course of action to go visit, your hometown. And it doesn't take long for him to clock that Yoruzu is actually waiting for Sukuna. But Kenjaku is confused that Sukuna is going out of his way to fight him, considering he never reciprocated Yoruzu's one-sided crush on him 1000 years ago. Wait, crush? Okay, calm down. Before you all start thinking that this is kinda sussy, as Megumi and Tsumiki are siblings,
we do not care.
The sexual tension Akutami is introducing between these two characters is, well, kinda weird. But it's not that type of relationship. Rather, the implication is that Yoruzu is just obsessed with the idea of fighting him, and after 1000 years, his wet dream will finally come true. Sukuna has been an obsession for many ancient sorcerers, as he is the epitome of power. Kashimo is also another prime example of this, who Kenjaku considered only inferior to the likes of Sukuna. Even as an elderly man, Kashimo could decimate entire battlefields, leaving numerous dismembered corpses behind. In fact, this man effortlessly eliminated at least 40 other players in only 12 days and gained notoriety throughout the Tokyo colonies, where he's considered all those he eliminated to be far too weak, even more so than those 400 years ago, and hence believed the only person who can test his limits is none other than Sukuna, the king of curses. But after completing this video, you would personally suggest Kashimo to become an electrician instead, as Sukuna is just on a different level. Alright, I'm taking a piss. Kashimo's curse technique is currently unknown. He purposely abstains from activating it because it can only be utilized once, and Kashimo wants to use it against Sukuna, reinforcing that Yoruzu isn't the only one that's obsessed with his power. However, with that said, if Yoruzu is actually moving that way for Sukuna, and his obsession isn't just with his power, well, I wouldn't be that surprised, come on, considering the scene with Mei Mei and her little brother. I remember that when the brother said he wants to sleep with her and do more than just that. What? Well, at least the good news here is that Megumi and Tsumiki are only step-siblings. They ain't related by blood.
What are you doing, step bro?
Listen, Sukuna ain't going to bite. Rather, the real reason for his interest is to actually kill her. Remember, in chapter 47, Megumi declared that he would be the one to choose who he saves, with of course his sister topping that list. So to push Megumi remaining will to live into complete despair, Sukuna has to take that freedom away from him. Kenjaku, being the nice guy here though, offers to give Sukuna transport back to the colony in exchange for Megumi's accumulated points, which is around 159, being enough for one more rule. Even though Kenjaku created the Culling Games, he has to abide by the rules and binding vow, where ultimately it will bring it close to the Culling Games or enough to set Tengen's merger into motion. With that, we perfectly transition to the Sendai colony, where Sukuna's rebirth literally sent shivers throughout. The immense amount of curse energy he let out was detected by every strong sorcerer nearby. We see Ryu and Uro's reaction, and they are breaks. Luckily, Ryu, who always wanted to test the extent of his power to taste the dessert, was graced instantly with Sukuna's presence. And this guy must have special grade curse balls to be brave enough to stand up against the king of curses himself. But to be fair, he tanked Sukuna's attack strong enough to one-shot literally 99% of sorcerers. Even the king of curses himself was impressed to find Ryu's defense pretty good. Him surviving is a testament to his overwhelming strength. Ryu has been shown to have insane durability already. Like, he took Rika's punch head on and even proceeded to deflect Yuta's love blast with his bare hands. To scale things for better understanding, Yuta is a special grade that Gojo stated will eventually be the forefront of the Jujutsu Kaisen world, likely even being his replacement. Akutami confirmed that Gojo is the ceiling of power in the series, which highlights how strong Yuta must be, and if he has more cursed energy than Gojo, he could reach this peak. But what's more important is Gojo's confidence in him, giving us the idea he knows something that we don't, including Kenjaku, who doubted this belief. It is stated multiple times that Yuta is second only to Gojo. However, in chapter 178, seeing that he was in a stalemate with his dangerous enemies Takuko and Ryu, Yuta had judged that the best way to get out of this tricky situation was to use a domain expansion. He was also forced to use reverse curse technique multiple times, where it was supposed to be his trump card. Ryu pushed Yuta into using multiple curse techniques, Rika the queen of curses, bottomless cursed energy, and more. You come to understand how powerful Ryu is. In fact, Ryu is said to have the highest cursed energy output. That's the whole reason he can actually stand up against Sukuna, the king of oh shit. Sukuna was able to adjust his power and one-shot Ryu after recognizing his defense. On top of that, Sukuna's speed is insane, as by the time Ryu tries to react with a granite blast, he slices through his head, appearing behind him. This literally made Yuta, the second strongest sorcerer in modern era, look like a complete joke. Sukuna's reemergence sends the Jujutsu world in disarray, paralleling Gojo. The entire world was notified of Gojo's birth in chapter 96, and by the age of 8, they could all feel his aura, bearing the young sorcerer. This symbolized a shift in power within the Jujutsu Kaisen world. But with Sukuna's birth and Gojo gone, the balance of power has shifted to evil once again. Naturally, this got us thinking, can Gojo really defeat 20 fingers Sukuna? Because remember, each finger that is consumed by Sukuna, his power grows exponentially. This was proven by Jogo, who believed he should technically be at 60% power level of 15 fingers, but close to death realized that he didn't expect the gap to be so big, where in reality the power difference was inconceivably huge. To visualize how busted this is, let me use some anime bullshit science. Now, we do not know the exact exponential value, but let's assume each finger is equal to each other in power increase. And for a baseline, let's give one of Sukuna's finger 2 points, which represents power. So in Jogo's case, who believed he was at 9 fingers, his power level should be 2 to the exponential of 9, giving us 512 points. But Sukuna at 15 fingers would be 2 to the exponential of 15, giving us 32,768 points. The difference in power is not 60%, but 1.6%. Or another way to look at it, Sukuna was 64 times stronger than Jogo. This is how a 15-finger Sukuna completely obliterated him. This actually makes sense, as even Gojo's fight with Jogo showed the huge disparity in their levels, as though he was around 100 times stronger. Let's not forget, Gojo had enough time to get Yuji so he could train him in the midst of battle. This confidence level alone reflects how Gojo saw the threat. It was as though he was fighting an insect, as Sukuna puts it. But Sukuna at 20 fingers is a whole different ball game, as he would possess 1,048,576 points of power. This is 2,048 times Jogo's strength. Not saying Gojo isn't on this level, and considering he confidently stated he could beat Sukuna in chapter 3, means we have to give him the benefit of doubt, especially since we have yet to see Gojo at full power, and the story has literally confirmed he can obliterate a country on his own. Now, after no dipping Ryu, Sukuna finally confronts Yoruzu, who notices that Sukuna is in another kid's body. This is when Sukuna doubles down on burning our boy Yuji. He first called him useless, weak, annoying, boring, and now he straight up says Yuji is ugly. But belittling Yuji isn't going to stop his demon guard mode from appearing. So watch this video on your screen as we discovered how powerful Yuji can become.